About 3 years ago, I was living in this small apartment complex, a pretty quiet place on the edge of town. Nothing special, just a cheap one-bedroom, but it was home. The kind of place where people kept to themselves. You'd pass your neighbors in the hall, maybe nod, but no one really talked. Anyway, everything was normal until one night. I was coming back from a late shift at work, tired and ready to just collapse into bed. It was around midnight, and as I was pulling into the parking lot, I noticed something weird. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw someone standing by the entrance to the complex. At first, I didn't think much of it. People stand around all the time, but this person was dressed like a clown. Not like a cute birthday party clown either. This was a full-on, old-school, creepy circus clown. The kind with white face paint, exaggerated features, and these bright, oversized clothes. I couldn't see the face clearly, but I could make out this eerie, wide grin painted on. It was just standing there, completely still, staring straight ahead. I remember laughing it off at first, thinking maybe it was a prank or someone coming from a costume party. But something about it felt off, like the air around me got colder the moment I noticed it. I parked the car and quickly headed inside, not really wanting to stick around long enough to figure out what was going on. The next night I get home late again, and the clown's there, standing in the same spot by the entrance, same frozen posture. This time, I got a better look. Its head slowly turned toward me as I pulled in, and for the briefest moment, I felt like it was watching me, like its eyes followed me, even though I couldn't see them properly because of the paint. I told myself it was just some weird prank, maybe even someone from the neighborhood messing with people. I tried to shake it off, but I couldn't help feeling like something wasn't right. By the third night, I was getting seriously freaked out. The clown was there again, but this time, it was closer to my building, standing just outside the entrance door. My stomach dropped as soon as I saw it. The grin on its face seemed different, more menacing somehow. And it wasn't just standing still this time, it was swaying side to side just a little, like it was in a trance. I rushed past it, avoiding eye contact, and hurried into my apartment. Once inside, I double-checked the locks on my door, which I never did before. I couldn't shake this feeling of being watched, like the clown was right outside, waiting for me to slip up. That night, I could have sworn I heard footsteps in the hallway, slow and deliberate, passing by my door. I didn't sleep well after that. Every night I came home, the clown would be there, getting closer and closer to my apartment. I didn't tell anyone at first, because how do you explain to someone that you're being stalked by a clown? It sounds ridiculous. But the feeling I got whenever I saw it was very real. It was this mix of dread and panic, like I was in danger, even though it hadn't done anything. One night, I finally decided to confront whoever it was. I'd had enough of this weird game and I wanted it to stop. When I pulled in and saw the clown standing by the stairwell, I parked the car and marched right up to it. I was angry and a little scared, but I needed answers. I shouted something like, "What the hell do you want? Why are you following me?" It didn't respond. It didn't move, didn't flinch. It just stared at me, that painted grin plastered on its face. I was close enough now that I could see its eyes. They were dark and empty, like there was nothing behind them. My anger quickly turned to fear, and I felt this icy chill run down my spine. I took a step back, suddenly realizing how vulnerable I was, alone in a dark parking lot with this thing. That's when it started laughing. Not a normal laugh either. This was a low, raspy giggle that didn't match the grin on its face. The sound was unnatural, almost like it was being forced, like it didn't know how to laugh but was trying. I backed away quickly, ran up the stairs to my apartment, and slammed the door behind me. For the next hour, I sat in my living room, heart racing, trying to make sense of what had just happened. I told myself it had to be a prank, some sick joke, but then came the knock. A slow, deliberate knock at my door. I froze, not wanting to move. The knocking came again, louder this time. My stomach dropped, and I stood there frozen, staring at the door. I didn't want to answer it, but part of me felt like I had to. Slowly, I walked over and looked through the peephole. The clown was standing on the other side of my door, its face inches from the peephole, staring right at me. That grin had gotten wider, almost stretching across its entire face, like the paint had melted into this creepy smile. It didn't say anything, just stood there eerily. I backed away, terrified. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911, trying to keep my voice steady as I explained what was happening. The operator told me to stay on the line and that someone would be there soon. But as soon as I hung up, the knocking stopped. I looked through the peephole again, and the clown was gone. No sign of it, no footsteps, nothing. It had just disappeared. When the cops arrived, they didn't find anything. They searched the area, asked a few questions, but there was no evidence that anyone had been there. I could tell they didn't really believe me. I didn't have any proof, just my word and the lingering fear in my gut. After that night, the clown stopped showing up. But for weeks, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was still out there. Every time I came home, I'd look around, expecting to see it standing in the shadows. But it never came back, at least not that I know of. The weirdest part was about a month after the clown stopped. I was talking to one of my neighbors, an older guy who'd lived in the building for years. I casually mentioned the clown, not giving too many details, just to see if anyone else had noticed something strange. He gave me this look, almost like he knew what I was talking about, but didn't want to say. Finally, he told me that years ago, someone had lived in my apartment who swore they were being stalked by a clown. Same description, same creepy behavior. That tenant ended up moving out after the clown supposedly broke into their place while they were sleeping. The cops never found any evidence of a break-in, but they left town not long after. Hearing that just made my skin crawl. I moved out not long after. I couldn't stay there anymore, not after what happened. Even now, I still get nervous when I see clowns, especially if I'm alone. It's like I'm always waiting for something bad to happen.